Welcome to this episode of the Change Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Tim McBride, and as I always say as I introduce this show, I like to invite local leaders, influencers, and agents of change to come that are both local and national to come sit down with me, join me in conversation, and more importantly, share their stories in hopes to inspire others. I'm taking a different approach today, and I'll put a little context behind it, but I have 4 guests with me representing 4 incredible local nonprofit organizations here, who each of them in themselves and their organizations are agents of change, who are serving so many amazing needs here in our community that I hope that all of you can connect to and relate with on some way, and in your own way, find ways to reach out and understand how they're elevating their services and games right now in such a difficult time to be of service to others. A little context, as I said, to why we're doing this. If you know me, when I transitioned from the sports world, when I moved out here in 2015, I got into real estate. And it was on my heart quickly to turn what I saw as a transactional space into something that could be more relational. And as I've gone through it, more transformational. And what I mean by that is, how can I use real estate to serve not just my clients and the needs of buying and selling a home, but how can I also be of service to my community? And over the last few years, I've started this platform, Homes for Good. And in 2020, it all got flipped upside down. And I couldn't be in the marketplace every day. And I started to think, how could I grow this so I can help serve more and use the resources available to me, which is the entire community, and to educate them on great places here and great organizations here. And I had an amazing group of people come beside me, become my leadership committee. And a couple weeks ago, we put to vote, we nominated and voted for organizations we can support in all of 2021. And these guests are with me today. Everyone voted. We had 10 votes total. We had a 4-way tie. So we've decided to use our platforms in all 2021 to serve these great local organizations and specific needs that they have as they transition from 2020 and 2021. So enough about me. I'm really excited to kind of get everyone connected to who I have here with me, and hopefully in their own way they can tell you who they are, the why behind their mission with their organization and through their roles, and what 2020 has really been like and what kind of expectations they have for 2021. So going clockwork, to my left, I have Sean Hens, founder of Giving Soul. I have Carlos Daniel, Chief Development Officer at Phoenix Dream Center. I have Megan Kukowski over at Girls on the Run. And I have Lorraine Tallman with Amanda Hope Rainbow Angels. So I've got to know you guys here over the last couple of weeks and get connected to the story and who you are and what you're doing in our community and why it's so powerful, that the work you're doing. But I'd really love for you in your own ways to introduce yourselves and just share, what inspired you to start and or join the organizations you're with, and what 2020 has been like. So we'll start with you, Sean. Thanks, my friend, for joining me today.
Absolutely. So like you said, my name is Sean Hens, and I'm the founder of Giving Soul, and we provide new name brand tennis shoes to children in foster care. We started be about 2.5 years ago. It was actually started by my son, Gavin Hens. And the way it really got kick-started was, you and I have talked before about the experience he had with LeBron James. Mm-hmm. That's been, almost 3 years ago now, at a Phoenix Suns and Cavs game where he wrote a sign for LeBron supporting him. LeBron saw it, gave him a shooting sleeve that he had worn in the game. And unbeknownst to us, the next morning we woke up and the whole thing went viral. It was on Sports Center and all these different outlets. And the first thing Gavin said to me that morning when we woke up, he's like, "Dad, can I use this to help kids in foster care?" I knew what he meant. Can I use my 15 minutes of fame to do something for kids in foster care? And foster care for us as a family is very near and dear to our heart, as we fostered a child for about a year and wanted to adopt her. But that didn't work out. So then she went to another family, and we still get to keep in contact with her, and that relationship has come full circle. But we just have such a heart for children in foster care. So when Gavin wanted to do something, we're like, yeah, so let's figure out what the need is. And after asking around in different organizations and through DCS directly, we found that shoes is a big need for children in foster care. And the way we wanted to approach it was, we've kind of coined this phrase that we don't want to give the kids just what they need. We want to give them what they deserve. They need new shoes, but they deserve brand new shoes, name brand shoes, because these children have been put in a situation that is 100% not their fault. Mm-hmm. And we're trying to pour into them as well. I'm trying to just let them know that they're more than a foster kid. They're more than what society might think of them. And most importantly, trying to tell them that you're more than what you probably think of yourself.
It's incredible. And if you get a chance, the story can go into so much more detail. But
Yeah.
the photo of your son standing there and just recognizing LeBron and just saying, you're more than, at 9 years old, to have the maturity to know the story behind that and to stand up and represent him is incredible. And then to take that to be a voice for others in a system that you guys had as a family had such an experience with is amazing. So with that, I want to go over to Carlos. Carlos, with the Phoenix Dream Center, please, if you will, a little bit about yourself, your story with the organization and some of the work you're doing here, because you guys are involved in a lot. And I'd love for people to be really aware of all the amazing things you guys are doing.
Thank you, Tim. Yeah, so me personally, it began just with a volunteer request like 5 years ago. I was in high school, actually. I had no clue what I was doing. And I just sent a volunteer request, and that led to an internship in college and then a position under the executive director as his assistant, and then now the chief development officer. What I love about our organization is we really just, the motto is to find a need and fill it, to find a hurt and heal it. And we really mean that. So when we first started, Brian Steele, our executive director, and his wife, they would do ride-alongs with the police to find out what the actual needs of the community are. Like, what really are we seeing? You know, they would also do a lot of community outreaches, and they realized after some time that human trafficking is a serious issue in Phoenix. They also realized that at-risk youth, you know, foster care, age-out kids, and is another issue, as well as just the whole, you know, a lot of addiction and homelessness, you know. And between those three things, we actually purchased an old Embassy Suites hotel for about $4 million. They were asking $7 million, but Brian lowballed them, and we didn't even have the money at that time. We were just going out on a dream and just saying, you know what, we need to do something in Phoenix to solve this. And from that point, we were able to fundraise the money. We created the Dream Center, and we provide a lot of different housing services and aftercare services for survivors of human trafficking. And so they can actually stay at the Phoenix Dream Center for up to 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And after the 2 years, the amazing thing is that ASU and GCU actually partner with us to offer free ride tuition scholarships for the graduates. And so if they want to accept that, they can stay in our alumni program, go back to school, and really be, you know, set when they leave. And so the amazing thing that I love about the Dream Center is that everything is free. We have an on-site medical facility where they can have an on-site doctor. They can have all the free therapy they need, equine therapy. Once they're ready to, after they, heal from that trauma and they're ready to begin dreaming again, we walk with them through the career counseling they need, whether it's a trade school, education, and it's absolutely just an amazing environment. We have facial recognition cameras on the 4th floor to make sure that if anybody walks in there that shouldn't be in there, like, we'll be notified immediately. And so we also make sure it's a safe environment for them too.
Amazing. Well, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. All right, other side of the room. If you're watching, you can see that we're socially distanced here. So Megan, Executive Director of Girls on the Run, servicing Maricopa and Pinal County here. Please, if you will, just share a little bit of your story, how you got involved with the organization, and what 2020 has been like for you, and what you're excited about for the next year ahead.
Sure. So I actually first got involved with Girls on the Run in 2005 as a volunteer coach. And the opportunity appealed to me because I had grown up as a runner, running, and had a really impactful experience on me. My family didn't have the means for me to participate in dance or basketball or other sports that I wanted to, but running, I just needed that pair of shoes and could go out and be a part of a group and better myself. And I was able to actually run all the way through college, which was a fantastic experience. But what I found really quickly as a coach for Girls on the Run was that the running's really just the icing on the cake. It's really a tiny, tiny part of the program. When you look at it, it's harder than ever to be a girl. Girls face pressures, telling them who they should be, how they should be, what they should do, how they should do it. And Girls on the Run teaches girls to be the authors of their own stories, and that they can write their own chapters and dream big and maybe chase those dreams they didn't think were possible based on what they were seeing and hearing around them. In the upcoming year, Girls on the Run is more important now, more than ever, because girls are less connected. They need a safe place to build their self-confidence, to connect with peers and caring adults, to process a lot of social tensions that we're all experiencing. And we're working really hard to meet girls where they are and to give them the opportunity to connect and to grow and to feel safe and strong.
It's incredible. As a father with a little 6-year-old girl, I see just her passion, enthusiasm for life, and her go-get-it mentality. And I can't imagine ever not telling her whatever you dream of, you can accomplish. And I love that there's organizations now that I can be connected to that are working hard every day to give every girl that sense of confidence. So thank you for what you're doing, and really grateful to have you be a part of all of this. Lorraine Tolman, the fourth and final here.
Hello, Tim.
CEO and founder of Amanda Hope Rainbow Angels. Thanks so much for coming here. As all these organizations, you guys do such incredible work with your organization in the pediatric cancer space on a lot of different levels. So if you would you share a little bit of your story and what inspired you to start the organization and what you've accomplished to date and where you see yourself going in 2021?
Absolutely. So the name Amanda Hope is actually my daughter's name, Amanda Hope. And then Rainbow represents all the promises that we get to keep. And then angels are actually all of you that come to our side and, help make our little warriors' dreams come true and help them along their journey. Most people don't know that every 2 minutes a child is diagnosed with cancer, and every 10 minutes a child dies of cancer. It's the number one killer of children in America today. And so it's, and we don't do a lot of research for children. 96% of all research is done for cancers for adults. Well, you have a child that has a molecular structure growing very quickly, so their cancer experience can be 3 to 5 years minimum. And then some of the drugs that we give them can also cause a relapse. And that's what happened to our family. My daughter at the age of 9 was diagnosed with leukemia. We fought for 3 years. It was difficult financially. I had to leave work. We still had 2 other daughters at home. My husband, of course, perfect storm. The market fell. All the banks, kind of laid off a lot of people, and that was my husband. So we went through that financial devastation. So we had that in our heart that we wanted to help families with the here and now needs. And then, unfortunately, one of the drugs did cause her to get a brain tumor, and we had to fight cancer again. And so at that time, Amanda was 12, and she saw a lot of gap in care and witnessed, we lived in the hospital. So she saw a lot of family needs and, single moms that have a child fighting cancer, but they still have to go home and take care of the other children, and the depression and sibling suicide and all kinds of things that come along with fighting pediatric cancer or any medically fragile child. There's these terrific mountains that you have to overcome. So, and the other thing Amanda hated was at 12, her body being exposed in a chemo room. Everyone could just lift her shirt. She's 12 years old. There could be 50 people lined up. That was devastating for her. So she had a dream about a little apparel line we call Comfy Cozies for chemo. It's so cute, dresses and hoodies. And they all have these peekaboo pockets for their port, their Broviacs, their feeding tubes, blood lines. And so providers can access them with the child still keeping their dignity, which was critically important for Amanda. And so we designed like 30 different designs, and any child fighting cancer can get them free on our website. They just fill out the little form and we send them to them. And then, the behavioral health was huge. Her siblings went through depression. Her dad and I were grieving. I mean, we actually started grieving the moment we heard the word cancer and, her life and what was it going to be like. And so and insurance doesn't pay for counseling. So what is that going to look like? And so we took our life experience and we opened a center here in Arizona to provide free counseling and play therapy and art therapy and music therapy. And we have wonderful corporations that come in and sponsor craft days and crazy car days, and we teach them how to chase the nurses out of the room. So we do a lot. We call them major distractions because, you don't want a child, if their third of their life is in a hospital fighting a disease, you don't want a third of their memories to be bad. So we bring in these major distractions, these little golden nuggets of memories where they have the best day possible. And we say that all the time. Our job is to create the most best days, the most best moments, so that they remember that versus being held down with a needle going into their chest or something like that. So we provide, everything from the day they're diagnosed, the Comfy Cozy Care Pack, to the no more chemo party at the end, and then any financial need in the middle, whether they need their APS bill paid or they need, 2020, imagine fighting cancer with your child and losing your job and your health insurance. We had 549 families that we're just trying to pay bills for and support their family while they're fighting cancer. So it's hard. You as a parent, you don't want to feel like a failure that you can't support your child, in such a thing. But when you lose your job, what do and there's no jobs to be, to get, and then you lose your health insurance. So it's been a very difficult 2020, and also access to care. What does that look like? So in 2021, we're really hoping to do play therapy on wheels, where we can actually, go to families' home and provide that counseling and mindfulness and, and teach our children how to cope with the pain that they're feeling, whether it's through breathing buddies or art therapy, which you saw at our center. So those are the kinds of the things we really focus on, is teaching our children how to cope with all that's hitting them, and family-centered care. Our job is to keep mom and dad, the marriage together, the family together. That's our number one priority is, family-centered care. What does that look like? What's that here and now? And what do we do? And every day it's what do we do to help whatever family walks through our front door.
Wow. Well, there's a lot of similarities across the board, and a couple statements that were made. Find a need, fill a need. Everyone here is thinking and dreaming big, and I love that make the most best days. I think on every level, you guys are doing that in your own particular spaces, and you're not settling for just the normal. And there is no sense of normal anymore. And I hear in each of your voices that you guys are leaning into these worlds that need support, that need help, and bringing the best of yourselves and the resources you have to be of service. And I think now more than ever, for what I've been reading online, is that the nonprofit space as a whole has been devastated in 2020. The expectations from a fiscal standpoint, up to $270 million lost. So as a community, we need to be coming together to find a need and fill a need within organizations like yourselves. And it's such an honor when I brought this leadership committee together and challenged everyone to nominate an organization, that you guys were 4 of the 10 and get to be here today, because there are so many, in addition to what each of you, so many more, and more people just need to be aware of the work you guys are doing and what you're trying to accomplish and how people can get together. So with that, find a need, fill a need. What are some of the things in 2021, we'll go back around the room, Sean, that you see Giving Soul needing as you look to continue to grow and expand and touch the lives in the foster care community?
Sure, absolutely. One of the most critical things is finances. And the reason I'm saying that is we don't stockpile shoes like in a warehouse or anything where people can donate shoes. If someone wants to donate a pair of new shoes, we'll take them. But our concept behind what we do is we want these kids to know that the shoes they receive were actually purchased just for them. Because how we do it, we work with like the Love Up Foundation, we work with the AZ Helping Hands, we also work with DCS directly. So when we do that, they'll give us children's names, their first name, their age, their shoe size, and then if there's a particular shoe they want a pair of Nikes that have a green swoosh, well, that's what they're going to get. They want a pair of Vans high tops, old school skate, black and white, that's what they're going to get. And what's so awesome about that is these kids have been let down so much by adults that when they hear they're going to get the shoes that they want, in their mind, they're like, okay, I'll see it when I believe it. And then they open up the box and it literally is the exact shoe that they asked for. So with us doing the shoes kind of a la carte, so to speak, finances are always just a huge help for us. So then that way we know as we reach out to DCS directly for group homes, now we'll reach out and say, hey, do you have a group home we can help? And we just helped one that had, it was 2 group homes together and it was a little over 20 girls and they all wanted vans. So we were able to go to the van store, get the vans that they wanted, and then actually deliver them to them. Another thing that would be really a huge help is if people know other companies, like shoe companies, things like that, that they could connect us with, that we could partner with. For instance, Dick's Sporting Goods at Scottsdale Fashion Square has been huge for us. They give us a discount on everything that we purchase from them. We work with the manager, and now we're even working with his boss during this Christmas season, getting gift cards and coupons to give to foster kids as well, so then they can go shopping.
I love when you talk about the shoe. What does it cost you from a financial standpoint to go out and purchase? Because it's more than a shoe, and I'd love for you to talk about this really quick.
Yeah.
There's a bag that it comes with, and
Yes.
on it it's symbolic because there's a statement that says you're more than
Right.
on it, and I love that ... because the context after that can mean so many things
Absolutely.
depending on who's getting it. And part of the story that I'd love for you to share too is your son Gavin at 9 years old, now almost 12.
Yeah,
12.
12.
I'm sure he's still doing it. Handwrites a little note
Yeah.
to each individual that receives
Right.
these shoes with just a message of positive affirmation. And at that age, I don't know if I would have been thinking anywhere along those lines at 12, but absolutely incredible. And what does that bag represent, and what is it? Because I know the story, and what does it cost as a whole? So if someone hears this, goes, you know what, I'd like to make a countries help a kid. What would that look like quickly?
So the shoes can range anywhere from $45 all the way up to $85.
Okay.
We kind of cap it off around the $80-$85 range, just because we also want to try and protect the kids. A lot of these kids are in group homes. We get them a new pair of Jordans, and something bad could happen. Either get stolen, the kids get beat up, whatever the case may be. So we want to be protective, but at the same time, we want to bless these kids, and we want to give them the best of the best. So along with the shoes, like you had just mentioned, they also get a sports bag. The sports bag is like twofold as far as representation. First off, when we got our little girl that I mentioned a while back, all she had was a clear trash bag. She was 13 months old with some stuff in it that wasn't even hers. So when we got her, we heard the stories, but this was the first time we physically encountered this, and it just broke our hearts. So this bag represents something that they can, when they're moving from group home to group home or foster care home, they have a bag that they can put some of their belongings in instead of a trash bag. Now, the other aspect of that bag, which is the part that I love the most, is that it says you are more than ... And just like what you said earlier, that means whatever they want it to mean. I'm more than a foster kid. I'm more than what my mom thought of me. I'm more than what society thinks of me, because part of that is us trying to plant this seed, because they're going to outgrow the shoes. The shoes aren't sustainable, but that message and that hope we're trying to give them is sustainable. And that's where the cards come in. We get to meet some more of the kids than we did when we first started, but when we first started the organization, we never got to meet the kids. We would have the caseworkers that would come and pick up the shoes and deliver them. Then we would get pictures every once in a while. So the card started where, again, Gavin, our son, wanted to find a way to reach out to these kids. So he writes a handwritten note to every kid, and he writes whatever he wants. My wife and I, we don't look over him and say, no. There's even a couple of times he misspelled a word, and he scratched it out. He's like, I need a new card. I'm like, no, just give him that. We want to be real. We want to be authentic. And he writes things like, you're an awesome kid. I hope you love your new shoes. Just a simple message. But again, I know when I was a kid, I look back and I look at all the people that poured in my life, even if it was just a short conversation. And I remember that. And we're hoping this is the same thing, that these kids, as they get older, if not right away, they'll remember, be like, I remember I got that pair of shoes, and man, that impacted me. That made me realize that I was of worth and I was of value. And that's what we're trying to tell these kids.
Just as you said that, it made me think back of what you said, and empowering these girls to be the authors of their own story. Just that experience of giving them that sense of confidence, that hope, made me think of the work you're doing. Is there ever, part of this is to have just a fluid conversation and have some ways to collaborate, hopefully. And is there ever a situation where mentors go into these schools or programs and there are girls that want to participate but don't have access to, as you had said, like just a shoe.
Absolutely. And we work hard at fundraising. They're not always those awesome name brands that you talked about. But in the last couple of years, we've been able to provide every girl in need of a pair of shoes with a pair of shoes and socks and sometimes a bag and other materials. But I think there's a lot of opportunity for partnership potentially. Last year, we provided new shoes to nearly 300 girls in need. And they're identified by their coaches as coming to lessons without proper footwear. Maybe they have hand-me-downs, something that's unsafe for them to be active in. And, just that new pair of shoes really just changes their mindset. And we find that they embrace the program and the lessons with a new sense of confidence and joy, feeling fit and ready to be a part of the group and feeling more included.
Now, you mentioned 300 pairs last year. So can you go into a little more detail how the program works, how many schools you're in, different age groups, so that listeners can really kind of identify maybe ways they can, if it's happening locally in their community, they can get behind it?
Sure.
Or just be more educated?
So since 2005, we've served over 14,000 local girls and their families. Just last year, just in 2020, over 1,500 girls, and we'd like to surpass that number in 2021. There is a program fee to participate in Girls in the Run. However, it's been our mission since the beginning to never turn away an interested girl and her family. And we're really proud to have continued to be able to do that. Nearly 60% of the girls that we serve are not able to afford program fees. And just last year, we provided over $130,000 in scholarships and fee waivers to girls and families in need. And in many cases, these girls aren't able to, participate in any sort of after-school programming, and definitely not, this positive youth development programming that's evidence-based and with such a fantastic curriculum that really forever changes the way that they see themselves and their opportunities. So, although it's a 10-week season, it's an experience that stays with them for the rest of their lives and really gives them all the tools they need in their toolkit to make good, positive, healthy decisions now and as they get older and things just get harder and harder.
So moving to 2021 and just the uncertainty of each school district, how are you guys handling the programs and your availability to the needs of the kids and the schools that you're currently operating in?
So there's a couple of things we're doing. First, we've lowered the program fee across the board even further, just because we know that our families are suffering, many of them so tremendously right now financially, and we'll continue the scholarship process. We are serving all the schools that are able to welcome us. Okay. We have pushed back any deadlines for schools and districts that need some more time to be able to say, if we can come in and serve their girls there. But we're also partnering with more community sites. So we're going to be at a number of Boys and Girls Club locations, Parks and Rec locations, and coming to as many parks and other community locations that we can. So if there's a case where we've had a program at a school and the school just can't say yes to our programming, we're going to be at that park right outside the school so that we can still serve those girls and families, because our teachers want to have the programs, our girls and families so desperately need to have the programs. So we're doing all that we can to meet the girls, like I said, where they are. We're also offering virtual programming. Our curriculum's been modified for safety measures. Every girl will get her own cinch sack with her own journal, all of her own supplies, so there'll be no sharing of supplies, and they can take them home. And we also are poised to go virtual with a fluid model if schools close, so that there's no break in programming and the girls and coaches can still connect.
It's incredible. Just the confidence that everyone is speaking with as these tumultuous times, that it's incredible. Because we can't stop, right? I had someone on a couple months back, and he was a former pro athlete, and he was a defensive end. And one of his messages that he teaches in his kind of mentorship program back is he was trained to always be on his toes. If he was caught flat-footed, he wouldn't be able to adapt, he wouldn't be able to adjust, and he'd end up being compromised in his role. And I think now more than ever, I think it's so appropriate that we always be on our toes. And what I'm seeing and experiencing and hearing from all of you is that your organizations are on your toes, and you're adapting, you're adjusting as each day changes, and continuing to find ways to serve. And we've kind of had this little theme of providing a little bit of confidence, and I love the idea of being heard and writing a story. And we had spoken, Lorraine, a little last week when we got a beautiful tour of the facility, and I highly suggest everyone take advantage of that because she's generously offered that. But you guys go out of your way, and I think the Comfy Cozy is kind of that first touch point of giving kids a choice, right? You mentioned that children don't have a choice in a lot of the entire process, and there's power in giving them their voice back in a choice. Can you talk a little bit about how that Comfy Cozy represents that, and then the programs that you built, that you provide through the facilities that you have and in the hospitals to these children to give them, a sense of confidence, hope, sense of voice?
So the Comfy Cozies for chemo was remarkable. Amanda wanted it just for her dignity and her modesty. But as we started giving them away to all the children that were fighting cancer, we found out that it became like this empowering tour. Because they have snaps or zippers so that the children, if a provider walks in and says, they have to ask for the report, they can say to them, do you want to open the left side or the right side? So then, no longer are we, anyone try to take a shirt off a 2-year-old that doesn't want their shirt taken off?
Every day.
Yeah. Well, imagine.
22 months old.
Imagine, that child knowing there's a 1-inch needle about to go into their chest. So this was a big struggle, but we found that when we give the children the opportunity to participate in their care, you could say left side, right side, and they would unzip or unbutton that side and then get their port access. It was like, no, they're participating, they're part of the choice. And when I teach classes or providers, I almost empower your children to have a choice. Of course, they have to have a shot. Do they want it on the right arm or the left arm? Do they pick the middle finger or the pointer finger? Do they listen to the heart or the chest? But we've learned that when we can have our children participate in their care, the stress levels stay down. We're not giving our children Ativan or Benadryl to keep them calm or kind of drug, which is killing their kidney and liver. We're keeping them in a place of being empowered to make those decisions. And once you have a child participating and feeling like they're a part of the solution of the care, they're remarkable. They walk in like a badge of honor, like, yeah, I'm the boss of me. And, and I get to choose, what access you're going to have at what given time. Given them that power, then they instantly take it. So, you're not doing any reverse psychology or everything. You're empowering the child to have a choice. And as soon as you do that, they take you up on it. It's it's just think. As a child, or your children want the power, right?
Oh, yeah.
They want to feel like they're large and in charge. So let them be large and in charge over these little medical solutions. But let's face it, they have to have chemo. So that needle's going in whether they want to or not. So let them feel like that they are the one that's allowing that this access is going to happen. And it's a powerful thing. The same thing with, our mindfulness, teaching children, we give them a little breathing buddy on their chest. So when they're going through maybe chemo in their spinal tap or, a spinal, any kind of, Manny would get chemo shots in her thighs. Teaching them how to breathe and watching their breathing buddy go up and down and, giving them that mindfulness to be able to get through the treatment and kind of have control over. And then, as they're breathing, they'll say, okay, give me the shot. Mm-hmm. It's powerful for them to have that kind of control. So this one little art, adaptive apparel that Amanda dreamt of has turned out to be this incredible, powerful tool that doctors and nurses send me notes all the time. Oh my God, why didn't anyone think of this before? And as you know, my husband fought cancer as well. And every time we walked into the oncology place for his chemo and he would unzip his, hoodie, athletic baseball apparel thing, everyone would be like, where did you get that? And I'd be like, on amandahope.com. No.
We'll get to name dropping website and stuff. The way to jump ahead.
Yeah, no problem. Love that adaptive apparel. So here we are with our children. And they love it. And when they walk through the hospital, they all know that they have the tie-dye apparel on. They give each other a high five, like they all know, they're all cancer fighting little warriors. And so it's kind of just like a badge of honor now.
That's amazing.
It's pretty cool.
So I heard the word empowerment, and we're coming back to you, Carlos. I know you've been quiet over here, and I apologize. Just trying to give it in, but empowerment is from what I say this, but little understand in the human trafficking world. It's something that I think most people are aware of, but don't realize how much is happening close to home. And I think with all of this chaos of this year, it's actually something my wife has really she's done a few tours down at the facility. She's really had her eyes opened up to and educated me a lot on it. And it's scary to think, because oftentimes I would, just believe it's something that happened far away or in other countries, somewhere not as close to home, and something that may not affect my children. But as I've kind of researched into it and learned from just stories I've heard and individuals that are part of great organizations like yourself, people don't have they feel that their power has been taken away. What are you doing to work with these as they transition off the streets or their situations or circumstances to give them that sense of power back in their lives?
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely see where you're coming from that point of view. So I'll give you one example. There's a lot of things, and I will go into the specifics, but equine therapy, for example. There's a story of one of the girls. She went to touch the horse, and the horse, in their mind, it's a big animal. It's really, and they don't have trust yet established with the horse, and the therapist will be there, and guiding her and developing trust with that horse. And there was this one instance where the horse came up to the girl. She just kind of, took a step back, and they had it on videotape, because what they would do is they would go to our medical facility at the Dream Center, and the therapist would watch the video with her, and she would ask her, so when the horse walked up to you suddenly and you took a step back, what'd you feel? And she said, essentially, it was something larger than life that she couldn't control. And learning how to face that and touch the horse was overcoming that. And so if you think about it in life, when they leave the Phoenix Dream Center, they're going out into a world they can't control. And so it's larger than life, and they have to learn how to face that. And so it's all the way from the therapy that we do when they first come in, to the family care model of the staff that we have, and a lot of the other things that they transition through, from just that, what they've gone through, to, dreaming again and doing that. It's all a part of just empowering them and giving them the tools they need to really go out there and do it.
So what age groups are you typically working with over at the Dream Center? Yeah,
so when we first started the program back in 2009, we were serving all age groups. Okay. And we realized that so the girls, when they live in what we call dream rooms. Okay. And they're actually like 5-star rooms that the girls get to sleep in for free. And but for the little girls, the minors, we realized that type of environment was not best for their healing. So we, Brian Steele, our executive director, his wife, Sky Steele, she runs Streetlight, which is where we serve the minors. Okay. And so they live in little cottages in a family care model. And then from 17 to 26 is usually the age ranges we see in our Hope Wing, but we do serve anybody.
Okay. And, you mentioned human trafficking, and there's so many layers to that. I think, like myself included, don't truly understand the different components of it and different categories within it. What are some great resources for people to come to your website to look for, to better be educated on it? Because, like I said, it happens on so many levels in so many different situations, and it's happening here. And I think education is where people are just missing the opportunity to understand what's taking place.
Yeah, definitely. You can go to our website, and we'll have a lot of different resources there for education. Polaris is an organization that does a lot of advocacy for human trafficking, so that's always a great place to start. There's a lot of other great organizations that have like our trainings. If you take a tour with us, we'll of course educate them about human trafficking there too. But yeah, it's so this last Saturday, we have an outreach called The Fountain, and it's where we actually go out into zones of, where there's a lot of trafficking going on in Phoenix. And it's actually just like maybe 15, 20 minutes away from this location here. Oh. And we're doing a big outreach that day, and so we had quite a few volunteers. Of course, we're all socially distanced, but we actually go out and reach the women that are walking the streets, that are homeless. And I was there early to set up, and I was the only car in the parking lot waiting for everybody. And a girl walked up next to a city bus, and it was really cold outside. It finally got cold in Arizona, and she was wearing like some fuzzy boots and some short shorts in the cold, and you kind of tell she's probably being trafficked. And all of a sudden, as quickly as she showed up, a huge red truck showed up. She got in the car and they just drove away. And I was in shock because like we were literally there to reach that girl. Like if we just started at 8 a.m., we probably would have been able to talk with her. And so it is real. It is a big problem here. And so
So thank you guys for sharing everything. My reason for starting Homes for Good was to connect people to the stories that are happening here locally. And it used to be, come to my open house, I give $5 as my contribution to say thank you for the work you're doing. Every guest that came in, I'd have a table of materials provided by the organization, and they could interface with it. And I would give $1 by you just showing up today. Thank you. $1 would be donated on your behalf to meet this need. And it meant so much to me over 2 years and became my why, but it wasn't telling a big enough story. And as I wrapped my head around, what that story was, is it wasn't allowing me to communicate to my network, to my industry, the impact real estate can have on our community. It wasn't necessarily like, I fought the idea of like, how can I raise more money? How can I raise more money? It was more, how can I tell a bigger story? And everyone connects to real estate on some level and has a relationship with homes. So how can I use this to tell a bigger story and turn a transactional industry into something more transformational? So it just dawned on me, instead of doing these quarterly campaigns where I'm kind of in for a couple months and out and onto serving another one else, how can we come alongside a couple organizations for an entire year, and how can we get away from the idea of an open house and make it more about a transaction creating transformation? So for people that aren't aware, in 2021, my team will donate a minimum of $100 for every deal we do, and we're probably expected to do between 120 to 150 depending on team members if they stay. I partner with an incredible software platform, which is going to be a donor portal to protect all our nonprofit partners, and the money will go through that. 100% of the proceeds will be split equally between each organization. And it's not about raising, say, $50,000 in 2021. It's about how the home that got sold today not only helped the family, move on or buy into their dream home, but made a quick impact towards helping put shoes on kids, helping get someone off the streets, to helping a girl be sponsored, to helping a child who's fighting, the battle of her life be served. And that's the vision of this. So as we go through the room one more time, there are little goals and big goals for each organization. And I really want people to connect with each. I want them to see that if you've got some resources or time that you can get involved and help. And over 2021, we're going to try to put as many media channels together to help support and just serve you guys and just show how an industry that we all can connect with can be of service beyond, the purchase or sale of a home. So we'll go around the room clockwise again. Sean, in 2021, for example, for every home sold, a minimum of $100, we have community partners that are going to match and give alongside. What would be a small goal that, we can accomplish together? And what would be a big need this year that as we're out in the community educating and being ambassadors for you guys, that they could maybe connect with or support on?
Sure, absolutely. So,
and think big.
Yeah.
Don't hold back.
So, if I can back up just real quick. So we've been going for about 2.5 years. We've hit almost the mark of about 700 pairs of shoes that we've given away since then. But now we have a great relationship with DCS, with AZ Helping Hands. And what that means is now we have an open avenue to that many more kids. Currently there's close to 14,000 kids in the foster care system just in Arizona. So now that we're starting to partner directly with DCS and we're actually physically reaching out to them and asking for kids' information, one of our bigger goal for 2021 is we want to provide 500 kids with brand new shoes. Awesome. And the cost of that, like I told you, between $45 to $85 for a pair of shoes, right? So you're looking at roughly about $35,000 to reach that goal. There's no shortage of kids. Mm-hmm. We can make a goal of reaching 3,000 kids. But we want to make sure that we're making the best impact that we can. It's not just a numbers game for us. We want to pour into these kids. And from a smaller goal, we're looking to at least do 10 or so kids a month as we reach out to these group homes. So that could be anywhere from $800 to $1,000 depending on the shoes that we get for those kids.
I love that. And, to visualize kind of how I see this working is, you all heard the show $1 Million Listing, right? And the story that show tells is the commission made by an agent and the value of the home. But what if we could show the 4 homes that were sold on that 1 hour episode impacted the community by X, Y, and Z? And that's what we're going to do. So if we know that we sell 5 homes in 1 week or purchase 5 homes, whatever it may be, that 4 of those 500 kids are fulfilled,
right,
we can tell that's the goal. We want to share that every single time and just continue to inspire people to be a part of what work is being done.
I think too that the thing that I love how our organization works is with us getting the kids information. Every pair of shoes has a face.
Mm-hmm.
Every pair of shoes has a name. So when that money comes in, we're able to then, like what we do with a lot of our donors, we report back to them. Obviously, we can't show the kid's face, but we can give them their first name, or show a blurred out picture with the kids with the shoes so they can see, okay, that's where my money went.
That's amazing.
So it's just, I think it's just that much more of an impact. So people, when they're giving to our organization, they know that they're going to get in return a kid's name or a picture of the shoes.
I love it. And all right, so moving on here real quick. Carlos, what are some of the immediate needs right now at the Phoenix Dream Center? I know there's probably a lot because you guys do so much, but where can there be fulfillment from a small donation amount? And what are some of the bigger goals you have in mind? You've shared a few and I've got them kind of on the notepad, but I'd love for you to share a little bit.
Yeah, so on the smallest scale that anyone could do, definitely, just hygiene bags for the girls that we reach on the streets.
Okay.
And then a bigger goal that we have, the worst call we can ever get is when someone's, they're trying to find help and they call our hotline and there's not a bed available. And so interestingly enough, we actually do serve boys in our human trafficking recovery program. Boys get trafficked too. And the waiting list for the boys program is 3 times as long as for the girls.
Oh.
And it's because there's not a lot of programs that serve boys. There's a stigma attached to it, and a lot of times, the medical needs are high too. And so our goal for the first quarter of 2021 is to create 6 new rooms for boys. And then our overall big goal for 2021 is to add 100 new beds for a human trafficking recovery program.
Wow. I love it. Well, however we can help you guys get to that goal, we're going to do our best. And
thanks, Tim.
I really appreciate you guys being available today. And it was hard to get a hold of you, but we finally found you. Cullum Homes, they're an incredible custom home builder here. They nominated you guys, and unfortunately the point of contact they had has moved on. I believe they're actually in the foster care system.
Wow.
But I was able to get through the gatekeeper, and I'm just grateful that your willingness to be part of this, because we're here to be of service however we can.
We're privileged to be here. Thank you, Tim.
Well, it's a privilege. Moving over, Megan, I know you've got big goals this year on a lot of levels, and we've talked about potentially sponsorship a program or sponsoring a girl. What are some of the needs, the immediate needs, and what small donation amounts can go towards, and what are some big goals that potentially we can get our community to rally around?
So immediately, we would like to be able to continue our promise to serve every interested girl. So every amount adds up to a big impact in us being able to cover scholarships for girls in need. There's additional costs with providing the COVID-safe programming. So we need additional supplies, office supplies, and basic things like markers and index cards and poster board and whatnot for our teams. Bigger picture, we'd love to continue to be able to recruit volunteers. We are a very lean staff, and we rely on over 500 volunteers per year to make our programming happen. So if we can recruit more people interested in impacting girls and the future leaders of our community, that would be phenomenal. And we'd love to, by the end of 2021, be set up in 50 new additional program locations.
Wow.
So annually, we usually serve over 100 to 120 program sites, but then the need is massive, and we have a lot of valley left to cover. And although we dot every corner of the valley, we'd like to fill that in a little bit more. So working with partner sites and interested girls and families and school administrators and other locations that like to host the program, we'd love to be able to serve more girls and families.
Well, I hope that we can get that message out there where people are inspired to give and get involved, because obviously the mentorship's a big component, so we need people to give their time.
Yeah.
Lorraine, last but not least, I know the Comfy Cozy is kind of the signature item at $35, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But what are some of the other needs that you're kind of looking to roll out in 2020? Maybe some bigger ones. I know you mentioned this mobile, play space.
Yeah, we
if
have
I'm
the
correct.
mobile play therapy
right.
van that we're trying to get financed, which will be remarkable. But that's still, that's a big item. That's $100,000. So.
Okay, let's put it out
but
there.
you know what? We're out there. So, for the therapist and for the van.
Okay.
But the other thing that we're looking for, we call them angels on call. As I was sharing with some of our families, you're paying for chemo and then your air conditioning unit breaks, or your car breaks down, or you need a new tire. Or we had one family that, they have their water delivered to them every month, and their water tank exploded, and they're, coming home from a transplant and have no water. So we have these where we need a mechanic, or we need, someone with a skill, that we call them angels on call, where they would be willing to either dramatically reduce their fees or do it for free. And so we have some partnerships in the Valley where we can just call them and say, can you fix this? Can you do this? And they're, do extremely well. But because of COVID and the finances that are happening right now, our phone is ringing every day for a here and now need. So we're looking for the partnerships with corporations and individuals that just want to be an angel on call, which means once a year we'll call you, and it might be a $500 need or a $2,000 need, but you would tell us, this is what I feel comfortable with. I would feel this need at this, and then we would connect them with the family that needs that here and now need right away, because we can't let our children leave the hospital unless the home is safe.
Mm-hmm.
Children have already spent weeks, if not months, in the hospital. They want to get home. Yeah. And so when they, come home and there's no air conditioning, not
Depending
good.
on the time of year.
Not good.
Yeah.
So those are the kinds of that big support that we need. Even decorating a transplant room, our kids are in the hospital, 8 to 12 weeks, some 10 months. And we try to theme out the entire hospital room with everything that they love. So when they're there, from the sheets to the wall decor, it's their own little secret place. And so, things like that. So a lot of fun stuff.
All this information is going to be available through the website, homesforgoodaz.com, and our Giving Fund page that is being hosted generously from Uncommon Giving. There'll be all the materials, and you guys will be able to put on whatever you want that's customizable to your brand, to your messaging, so it's authentically you. It's not me and my team telling everyone why you guys are great. It's your voices, it's your mission, and it's your impact. And we'll have dollar amounts tied to things so people can quickly connect, and all those will go through you. And we're going to try to incorporate the bigger ticket items too, so people, if they feel inspired to really go big, they have that opportunity as well. Stay with you, Lorraine. I want to give each of you one last chance to share best ways to get in touch with you guys directly, best channels to follow, and for more information, where to go.
So the best place is our website, amandahope.org, and everything is on there, from behavioral health to our mindfulness, our blogs. I mean, our blog is amazing. If you have little ones at home, there's little story times about depression and anger and sadness, and it's just there. So that's a free resource for everyone. But that's really the best way.
Okay.
And then wherever when your email comes in, it's sent to the staff member that takes care of that particular need for a family, and you'll get a response right away.
Perfect. Megan, what are some of the best channels for people to reach out to you on?
So I'd say website as well. Ours isn't as straightforward. There are a number of Girls in the Run councils across the country. Our website is gotrmc.org, and there's links there to all of our social media channels as well as additional information about our programming, and some really great information about a recent longitudinal study that talks about the impact of Girls in the Run and the need for it as well.
Beautiful. And anyone that's listening online that sees this, it's out of state, it's great to know that there are programs outside of Arizona that if it's happening locally, they'll have opportunities to reach out and connect. Carlos, yourself.
Yeah,
What-
so phoenixdreamcenter.org, that's our website. And then on all the socials, just type in Phoenix Dream Center and they'll be able to follow us, and they can message us on there too. We'll get back with them there.
And what about your personal cell phone? Should we give that out?
My social security too.
Okay. I want there to be, I want there to be people to have access to you. So if they have questions, they know who to call.
Yes, they'll find it on the website, possibly.
Appreciate it. And Sean, with Giving Soul, what are the best channels?
Yes, our website is givingsoul.org, soul spelled SOLE. It's a great way to hear more about our story. There's a mini documentary that we did a couple years back, and also there's a donation page directly there. And then you can also follow us on Instagram, which is giving_soul. That's a great way just to look through what we've done, the impact, the outlets that we've touched, and people that have even reached out to us and that we've partnered with. So it's just a good way to get a good sense of what we're about and what we're doing.
Awesome. Well, I can't thank you guys all enough
Thank
for being
you.
here, for just sharing your conversation. And again, for me, Homes for Good is built off the idea of turning real estate from a transactional space to something that can be transformational. And I can't do that without the support I have around me, but more importantly, the organizations like yourselves here that each and every day are putting the needs of others before yourself. So thank you so much. And I hope that in 2021, we can accomplish a lot of great things together. I'm going to put every resource, all my channels together, and the team I have behind me to really help just be storytellers and champions on your behalf, and hopefully draw in, a community behind us to get behind what you're doing and to give in whatever capacity they can. And it doesn't have to be monetarily, right? It can be through volunteer hours. And one last thing, we'll put it on the website too, is that I've learned that a lot of organizations, you guys have wish lists, so please share those as well. Like if there's just physical needs that people can quickly get behind, we want to help in that way too. So thank you guys for all coming on the show. It's been a long conversation, but a great one, and I hope that everyone that's listening takes the time to learn more about each and every group and the work that's being done, because these are true change agents in our community. And if you know me, I'm a hat collector and I love New Era. I typically have hats for everybody that says change agent on it, and that's just a way for me again to say thank you for who you are, the work you're doing, and the lives you're touching each and every day. So thank you, everybody, and stay safe and have a happy holidays.